Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of ProView. Today we have a special guest with us, a boy who was sent to work at the age of 7. He was sent to work in a medical store and his job was to tear the magazine and make paper covers for the medical store. And while doing so, whenever he came across a bird photo in that magazine, he used to preserve that image, fold it, and keep it in his pocket. His love for birds started there. When I started my photography journey, I used to just look at his image and think, how does he ever manage to get such sharp images? And guys, to you, I welcome Clement Francis.
Hi Clement, welcome to this channel.
Hey, hi Amit. Hi Mohan. Thanks a
Welcome.
lot for calling me for this program. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for
Pleasure
joining.
here, sir, pleasure here. In fact, Mohan sir, when did you meet this gentleman for the first time?
I met him about 6 years back. He called me one day and said, "Mohan, we have to meet. Let's catch up." And he has a special love for Andhra biryanis.
Okay.
So we caught up at Nagarjuna restaurant for biryani. And that is the first time I met him.
Awesome. Clement, despite of biryanis, how do you maintain your weight, man? You look so fit.
Yeah, Amit. From childhood, I used to love playing football. And athletics has been always a part of my life. And I make sure daily I walk 6 to 8 kilometers. And weekly, at least 3 to 4 times, I definitely do weight exercises and other aerobic exercises.
You still play football?
Yes. Like whenever I get an opportunity, I definitely play.
Awesome. Okay. So Clement, Mohan sir was sharing about your life journey, and literally I got goosebumps. My eyes were watery, when I hear that story. It's really incredible. In fact, Clement, for me, I know Clement Francis, guys. That was the era of INW. Okay, India Nature Watch. That was a website. It is much before our Facebook gone viral, and Orkut was there that time. So I used to see again Clement's images, and I would rate Clement is India's top 3 bird photographers today, and I'm really blessed, that I know Clement personally. After that, I met Clement for the first time in Jim Corbett National Park. Though I know Clement for a very long time through INW. INW was a common platform where to share our images, and we all used to think, "Arey, मैं कभी Clement जैसा click करेगा? How I'm going to get those sharp images? How that background is so nice? How did he spot raptors? He's one of the best raptor series I've ever seen is coming from Clement's camera. So this is how I know. And surprising that day in Corbett, when everyone was rushing for the tiger and the elephants, the Clement was standing in one part. I just stopped my car and said, "Clement, you're not going for a tiger. The paro is sighted there." He said, "No, Amit, there is this green magpie, I am waiting for it. I'm waiting for last 1 hour, and probably I'll wait for another hour." And this is what Clement is, No tigers, no elephants. For him, birds are everything for him. So thank you, Clement, for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Let me add one more thing. The same trip, I was also there. Okay. And in one of the safari, there was a huge tusker coming straight at us. And when the camera was focused on the elephant, Clement says, "I can hear a bird chirping there." That is Clement, welcome. Clement is from Bangalore, well-known bird photographer in India with over 3 decades of photography. He has won many awards, recognitions, few being Teachers Achievement Award, gold medal for the World Cup of Photography. He was the honorable speaker for Vasundhara International Film Festival done in Pune for wildlife. So there are umpteen numbers of recognitions that he has already got. Welcome once again.
Yeah. So Clement, Clement, in a short, I mean, how your journey started as a photographer? I mean, what was that
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah, Mita. I mean, once I moved to high school, I mean, because I was studying in a government sponsored, but the school was run by the Little Sisters of the Poor. And it was for children who were below poverty line, kind of, where there was no fees, I mean, in the school. And I mean, I can proudly say that I went to the school for the free midday meal. So such was the, I mean, my schooling. But I mean, never had any exposure to photography or anything. But I used to, once in a while, I used to look at magazines, and where, like, I mean, there was an article about a photographer or a particular national park and things like that. And I always wanted to, I mean, do whatever that photographer did. So, like, after, I mean, moving out of school, only, like, out of around close to 180 students, only 3 of us passed our 10th standard examination from that school. So, like, I mean, we moved into the Joseph's Evening College. And that was the first time I had in my life, I had seen a library. And in that library, like, I mean, once every 6 months or so, like, they used to buy National Geographic magazine or Sanctuary Asia magazine and things like that, and they used to, I mean, put it across there. So one fine day, like, one of the persons who used to go to United Theology College in Bangalore for their Sunday worship, he was telling me that one of the professors there, by name Dr. Eric Lott, he was an Englishman, but he had a lot of his programs running in Karnataka and in Andhra Pradesh, and his hobby was bird photography. He was giving a slideshow for children there in that United Theology College. So I told him, can I join you? He said, I mean, definitely. So I went there, and Dr. Eric Lott won't even know that I was part of that audience there. And he started showing slideshow on like a few birds of Western Ghats, because Western Ghats was very close to his heart. Every fortnight he used to take his jeep and drive to Ooty and Coorg and other places in Kerala, and with his 300 mm manual focus lens and film cameras in those days, with a converter, I mean, he used to photograph birds there, and he used to process those slides in London whenever he used to visit London, the Kodak labs there, and he used to bring it and show it as slideshow for children. So that really caught my attention, and I asked him about, I went and met him, and he was very, very courteous and magnanimous, you know, in meeting a person like me. And he clearly explained to me what his Western Ghats is all about. And he was telling me, in those days when people never knew about the biodiversity hotspots of the world, he even called Western Ghats as one of the biodiversity hotspots of the world, like, you know, the Amazon jungles, and the jungles where, I mean, in Rwanda, the gorillas are found, and, you know, the various wonderful places of, I mean, of utmost importance to the wildlife, like, in the world. So that, I mean, so I used to ask him that whether he has come out with any books on, I mean, his photography, which he had done in India for almost 20 years. So he said, that is one of my aims, but, you know, like, publishing in those days when there was no internet and things like that. So it was very, very difficult. And, you know, like, in those days when the salaries used to be 350, 400 rupees, if you're a government servant in Bangalore, one scanning of one slide film, the positive, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, for production or for printing used to cost around 125 rupees.
Oh.
Yeah. So, like, scanners of, I mean, slides and all never existed those days. So he used to always tell me that he was planning to take his slides to UK and, you know, scan them and, I mean, digitize them, and so that he can come back to India and speak to some, I mean, bookmaker, and, I mean, come out with a small, tiny 80-page or 90-page book on the birds of Western Ghats. But over a period of time, he could not do that at all. So once, like, I mean, when I asked him that what kind of cameras, I mean, one has to use for photography, he brought his camera out, and like in that Union Theology College itself, there were like close to around, I mean, almost 800, 900 trees, fruit bearing trees and all kinds of trees. So the Tickle's blue flycatchers and in winter, brown flycatchers and all these things used to come there. So he even showed me like how to do bird photography there, and that caught my imagination. And it almost took me another 8-9 years like to get hooked onto a camera. And my wife was the first one to present me with a camera, like which had an autofocus. But before that, one English gentleman by name Steve Dondersheim, he had visited Munnar once, and I had made, I mean, few trips to Western Ghats. He was the one who gave me a FM10 camera body, which he was not using, and it had a lot of fungus issues. So he gave me that camera and 70-300 mm Vivitar 7.2 to 9.6. I mean, zoom lens, manual zoom lens. And I mean, that's how I started my, like, I mean, photography. And, you know, like over a period of time, I found out that getting close to the birds, like, I mean, is a trick. And because why I did that was, like, after my graduation, when I joined Wipro in campus interview, I was getting a salary of 720 rupees, which was 150 rupees more than my dad's salary. And I used to feel very happy about it. So I used to take that money and buy one roll of film every month. Yeah, like, and you know, 36 photos you can take out of one roll of film. And if you have to wash it, like I have to wait for another month to get that 120 rupees extra, like to wash that to see, like, I mean, what my pictures are. So I used to be very careful only when I used to get close to birds by approaching them, and I used to take a picture. So that's how the journey started. And I was very, very happy in the year 2004 when myself and 3 other friends, we came out with the Birds of Western Ghats book, which was published by Oxford University. And somewhere in my heart, I thought like a dream of Dr. Eric Lord got fulfilled through me.
Awesome.
So
that's very inspiring. In fact, I remember, Clement, that time more than the camera, the cost was more on the printing part, you know.
Correct.
So now things have totally changed.
Exactly.
Now you keep on shooting, and you can delete then and there itself. You come and you can just process your image and it's ready. So I think it was a very, very costly hobby back then, right?
Yeah, Mithil. See, I mean, I have to thank a lot of people. Okay, I was, I mean, mad behind birds. I mean, that is set up aside. Like many Fridays, I used to, one of my bosses, like in Wipro, he used to, like, once in a while, I used to show him one album full of pictures, like, you know, which I photographed and I developed those days. And when I used to just, I mean, put a little bit muska to him, asking him, can I go this Friday so that I get 3 days, no, somewhere in Western Ghats to do some photography or to do some bird study there, he used to allow me. So, like those days, I used to, I mean, have a bicycle, which I used to park in one of the shops, like near Mysore Road. And I used to wait near Mysore Road, waiting for these lorries, which used to carry a lot of goods from Bangalore to Coorg and sometimes, I mean, places in Kerala. And I used to ask them for a drop there, and you know, peacefully they used to take me. And sometimes the lorry drivers used to even buy me dinner whenever they stopped at, I mean. So that's how I used to travel. And you know, like I've slept in hundreds of places, like, I mean, bus stands to, I mean, everywhere, like, I mean, on my journey to do photography of birds of Western Ghats. And that's how, I mean, it all worked out. It was very, I mean, a lot of fun. Because I don't think in those days we were carrying anything that is costly so that, like, anybody will waylay you and kick you. And hardly that one camera, which not many people even thought of, like, because if you see through the viewfinder of a FM10 with a I mean, 9.2 lens, you will hardly see any bird like on the other side. So it was not of any interest to anybody.
Still, you are with Nikon, or you shifted later on?
I shifted from Canon to Nikon because my first autofocus camera was purchased by my wife. You would have definitely been there when Canon introduced their Rebel cameras.
Mm-hmm.
It was less than $500 camera. It was a 6.2 megapixel digital camera. Yeah, and it used to come with a kit lens of 17 by 35 mm lens.
Okay.
That was less than $500, and one of her office colleagues had visited in New York on work. So she gave him some money. In those days, it was 36 rupees was a dollar. So, she had sent through him some 14,000 rupees or something. So he had got that camera. And that's how my digital photography started. And after that, I bought one 75 300 mm lens. I was doing photography with that lens. And there was one friend of mine by name Vijay Kumar. He had one Sigma 170 500 mm lens. That's a beautiful lens which Sigma came out with for those days standards. But his autofocus had gone bad, and he tried to repair it, but he couldn't. So he gave that lens to me. Okay. And with that lens only, I photographed that picture of the cheetah hunt.
Oh.
So that 175 mm lens, really brought birds close to me, and I have to be so thankful for that. And but when I visited Sri Lanka, I found one of my friends was shooting with his Nikon equipment. I found the exposure in rainforest kind of atmosphere on a Nikon camera was much better compared to a Canon camera. That was my assumption. I may be totally wrong because I'm not a technically sound photographer at all. So my thought would have been entirely different. So I came back and bought a D300 camera. Again, through INW, somebody suggested that person in Mysore was selling his D300 3-year-old camera. So I got it for a good price. And that 170 500 mm, one of the local photography shops in Bangalore, he was willing to take because he had known somebody in Sigma to fix that and to resell it. So he took that, and I bought one more 170 500 mm Sigma for Nikon, and I started doing my photography.
What is your current gear now, Clement?
Now I have my D850. That is a friend of mine who underwent surgery, so he was not able to photograph. So he has given his camera to me. That and my D5 and 500 mm.
So you've always been on 500 mm, right?
Yes.
You never have that not temptation to go for that extra reach 600 mm.
What happened, Amit? When I was in 4th standard, I used to be a very naughty guy. So an uncle's cycle, I had asked him for, I just told him that I'll take him, take the vehicle for a round. So I took I was riding his bicycle. From behind, a lorry came and dashed me.
Okay.
And that's what people told me. Because next time when I woke up, I was in coma in the hospital, where my ribs had cracked and my left hand was broken into 4 pieces.
Oh.
Yeah. So because of that, my left hand is 2.5 inches shorter than the right hand.
Okay.
Yeah. And a surgery, surgery 45 years back in India was, and in a government hospital was very pathetic. Because of that, even now, I cannot lift weights beyond 5 kgs from my left hand.
Okay.
So, and I have to handhold my lens anyway, and I do all my photography by handholding only. So 500 mm is apt for me. That is the only. But otherwise, I would love to photograph with 600 mm for sure.
But I have noticed that you have the tendency never to remove your 1.4 TC from your.
For me, the birds closer are always better, Mohan. because that I mean, gives you an opportunity to look at them in a more beautiful manner, and and if you are a bird photographer, all of them will definitely agree. The same species, even if you shoot it like 100 times, it's still the energy and what do you call it, the interest that it invokes within you, and the beauty of that bird is like I mean shown in a different perspective the next time, kind of.
Amit, I had the privilege of traveling with him for a few birding trips also. And when I am struggling with my tripod Wimberley on my 600, this man, he doesn't use any of this. It is only handle. And when he sees a hornbill or he is missing, he would have ran somewhere, and he would have got the best possible photo.
In fact, Clement, this is something strange. I mean, I heard that, tripod, monopod, or handheld. What's your favorite? What's your favorite gear, or what's your favorite method of shooting birds?
Only, Amit, when I go to places like the seashores, no? Seashore, or like when I go to places like Satal and in the Chafi riverside, if I have to shoot dippers and kingfishers and forktails, at that time, if I had to sit and wait, I mean, in a particular place for a longer time for the bird to come, or light to, like, I mean, get into certain angles so that the light comes properly through the woods, only during that time I carry my monopod.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so that like I can just, I mean, put it on the lens and just hold it and sit in one particular place instead of keeping the lens on my lap or something like that. Otherwise, even if when we are photographing in Hyde in Satal kind of places, I don't prefer using the tripod. I feel my hands are not connected to my lens.
Oh, yeah, that is very strange and very unique about you, Clement. And believe me, a lot of people, I mean, we also recommend people, please use tripod for good support, it will give stability and all. But when you look at your image, you are actually defying those laws. Absolutely.
I think Clement has got the distinction of being the one photographer, especially a bird photographer, who doesn't use a tripod or
monopod.
Awesome, Clement. So Clement, let us start with today's session. I'll just share my screen, guys.
So today, Clement is going to do a presentation of birding in East Africa.
Clement, why birding in East Africa? I mean, that was very surprising when I actually got the content. I mean, I said, why Clement is not doing any birds of India? Why birding in East Africa? Why? And what the thought came to your mind about this?
First time when I visited Masai Mara and Amboseli and Lake Naivasha, I felt that, I mean, the number of bird species that you see there, and also most of the birds in East Africa are very bold. So I was just wondering why not many photographers have not clicked their images. And being a birder all my life, I would rather photograph a bird than the big five or whatever five, which have been photographed by thousands and millions of people in Africa. So that is how I started, Amit, and I found it to be very fascinating. And when I was returning to the airport on my first trip itself, I went to a bookshop and I bought the books on birds of East Africa, and I started, I mean, studying them and also the habitat in which they live.
Okay.
And I made my own chart, like just writing it on a piece of paper, whichever areas which I visited, and looking at the biodiversity of that land. I used to prepare my chart and used to start looking for birds in those particular areas. And I was very quite successful, and the birds are also very cooperative in Africa.
Yeah, in fact, it's a very, very colorful, very metallic, very flashy,
exactly.
Very, very peculiar thing. In fact, a couple of birds are quite similar looking. I mean, what we find in Indian subcontinent.
Yeah.
So we'll actually see that. Clement, what will be the roughly species number of species in East Africa? for the birds?
East Africa alone, like close to 1,800 odd, like bird species are found in, few countries itself in East Africa, like Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia, Rwanda, and all those, places that Djibouti, Eritrea, and places like this.
Okay.
And like most of the biodiversities of these countries are also very similar. Hence, and the land is very flat in those countries, except few mountains here and there, which birds can easily cross across.
Okay.
Hence, the movement of birds across these countries, keep happening very often, and and every once in a while you suddenly bounce upon a bird which you have hardly seen in your previous visit. So that makes it very, very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, look at the colors. I mean, they are simply
Of the
beautiful.
blue-eared starling, yes. When it is, out sitting there on the ground on a shady place, you will just see a, a navy blue or a black or dark grayish bird sitting out there. But once it perches and you get the correct sunlight, angle, like, on the bird, the iridescent colors of the feathers just pop out, and it makes it look so beautiful. And if you look at this picture, like, you hardly have to do any post-processing or anything on this, because the sun is always shining on Africa all the time of the year.
Yeah, very
And
true.
it's
Very
such a
true.
wonderful, place to photograph birds
The
there.
light is always so good, which is
Yeah.
we always complain back in India here, Western
Exactly.
Ghats, Indian Himalayas, or Northeast. You got
Yes,
amazing
yes.
species, but light is the biggest problem.
Correct.
There, the light is magical. But as
Yeah.
you said, Clement, it is very, very important that always shoot this kind of birds when exactly that light is hitting on the bird and you get that iridescent colors,
Correct.
that shine.
I would definitely encourage Mohan Thomas also to shoot few pictures of birds when he goes there.
Yeah, again, another beauty. It's a robin species.
Yeah, it's a Cape Robin chat. Normally, these birds are found on the mountainous areas in Kenya. But during the winter months, they move down, and they occupy areas which are where water bodies are there. Because water bodies in Africa always attract a lot of these fly species, which come to the slushy areas and breed there. And their larva is collected by these. And again, very multicolored and beautiful bird. And as all of you know, many of you would have seen many robin species in Himalayas as well. They are great posers, and when they cock up their tail, your dream of getting a robin's picture is attained. And the Cape Robin chat, when you visit Africa, especially Lake Bogoria and Lake Naivasha, and sometimes even in Amboseli, you are definitely going to spot the Cape Robin chat there, hanging around gardens and groves, and even small water bodies. And many times you can even see them in the resorts that you stay there.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Clement, can I know the exif details of that image, please?
Yeah, Moon, in the last, after getting my hands on the, D4 and D5 cameras of Nikon, what I found them was I just, keep a small doll on my rooftop and shoot a few images at from ISO 200 to ISO 800. And in the same lighting condition with the same shutter speed. And I bring it onto my laptop and just to check it whether there is an increase in noise or color variation or whatever it is. And what I found out was that in the top end cameras these days, you can always start at ISO 800.
Okay.
So I don't go below that at all for bird photography. I normally start at ISO 800. And early mornings when you get a good opportunity, when the sun has not come up, I push it even to ISO 1600.
Oh, okay.
But my standard, even in the mid-afternoon sun, I shoot at ISO 800 and I don't see any problem at all with these cameras. Okay. And my sweet spot of my lens is f8 all the time. And I love to shoot all my pictures at f8 in aperture priority mode and in ISO 800. So predominantly, if you see the EX information on this bird, it is like ISO 800 and 1/500 and f8.
Okay. So your favorite sweet spot is your f8. And
F8, yeah.
Clement, I'll tell you, I mean, it's a very, very valid point, very, very valid suggestion here. Because a couple of my friends, when we actually go and when they buy 2.8 lenses, f4 lenses,
Yeah.
you know, they say these are new lenses, you can always shoot at 2.8 and f4. But you always have that fear, you know. Sometimes, I mean, it's a risky affair, you know. Sometimes
Correct,
maybe
correct.
a depth might go wrong. Sometimes maybe some kind of, I mean, some issues at the widest opening. I
Yeah.
think f8 also. Surprisingly, Clement, my this year's visit to the Bharatpur.
Okay.
All friends, we decided. I mean, one day we'll just shoot at f8, and believe me, end of the day, everyone was so happy.
Correct, correct,
We were
correct.
so
correct,
happy.
correct.
Provided, I mean, the light should be good. I mean,
Correct.
sometimes you cannot always shoot at f8 because light also should allow you to use that f number.
Yeah.
But very, 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 very
No,
important.
what I would encourage many birders is, if they have, especially what I shot some pictures in Mr. Raj Narayan's 1DX Mark II in Bhutan.
Mhm.
Because I mean, f8 is my favorite aperture. Sometimes when low lighting condition comes, when you want to push it up to f5.6 or something,
Mhm.
instead of that, what I was doing is, because Canon 1DX Mark II, which I was using of his body, the ISO performance was so good. Instead of the F number, I was pushing the ISO numbers up from 800 to 1600, and I could hardly see any grains there.
That's amazing.
So
That's
that
amazing.
also can be done by people who have these great bodies, no?
Yeah.
Where the ISO performance is very good.
Yeah. In fact, Clement, I think if you see image as a full frame image, if you are able to capture the full frame image, even at
Okay.
a higher ISO, you actually don't see the grains or noise.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you start cropping, if you do a lot
Correct,
of
correct,
pixel
correct.
peeping, then I think that noise or the grain issue is very, very
Definitely
apparent.
comes up. Yeah. I mean, try to shoot all your pictures where the subject is only 25 to 30% of the frame.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when, you'll be able to crop it also. And also you'll allow less noise on your pictures, and the bird will look beautiful, like with a bit of habitat is shown around it.
True.
Yeah.
Do you think the new high megapixel camera gives you a little more flexibility?
In cropping mode? Yeah, I mean, with the D850, I did shoot some frames of birds. Like, unless there is good light, like your chances of keeping many keepers is very low in a D850 kind of scenario, because of that almost 46 megapixel, even the minutest of shake, maybe it is with me because I shoot everything handheld, it gets magnified. So unless you are shooting pictures, 1 by 1000 shutter speed or more, your keepers become very less in those kind of cameras. But in my D5, even 1 by 60 and by 90 shutter speed, you get a beautiful pictures, because the megapixel is low and also the frame rates are faster, higher. I mean, yeah.
Thanks for this input, Clement. Again, a beautiful bird
Yep.
from the plains, right?
Yes. The Kori bustard, is one of the largest, and it is the largest bustard in the bustard family all across the world, and also one of the largest and the heaviest flying bird in the bird kingdom.
Oh.
Yeah, some of them are even more robust compared to our Saurus cranes, which almost stand 6 foot tall.
Okay.
Yeah, these are they can weigh around, close to, some of them even weighed around 15 kgs. Yeah, robust birds. And, most of the bustards in Africa, because the habitat is very good there. And also the hunting of these things are a bit low compared to other countries. None of the bustards of Africa are endangered.
Oh.
Most of them are least concern. Yeah. And you know what has happened to our Great Indian bustard? No?
That's a very funny story.
The place where you can 100% see them, Desert National Park, when you go there and see almost every inch of Desert National Park is farmed. Everything looks so pathetic, and nobody is bothered about these things. And I think the next extinction of any bird species in India is going to be the GIB. That's what I feel. And the habitat loss is going to take it to that, extinction.
Yeah, that story. Your love for raptors,
Yes.
is always there, man.
Yeah, the crowned eagle. Crowned eagle is one of the largest eagles of Africa.
Okay.
You can even compare the crowned eagle to the Filipino monkey-eating eagle and also the harpy eagle in South America. Harpy, being such large eagles, they go in for larger prey also.
Okay.
They prefer to eat vervet monkeys most of the time, and they hunt large birds, and even small gazelles can be taken by these.
Oh.
Yeah, sometimes they I mean, these birds, especially the crowned eagles, which are living close to human vicinities in Africa, sometimes they take on the poultry. Due to that, they are poisoned and they have become like a part of the critically endangered list now.
Okay.
Hardly few pairs remain, and even a big biodiversity hotspot like Masai Mara has got like a very handful of pairs. And I was very lucky because one English gentleman told me this location behind governor's camp.
Okay.
Yeah, and we reached there, and this photograph like is a huge crop. I almost shot this like from maybe close to 100 meters away.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, for a birder, getting a crowned eagle is a jewel in your crown kind of a
Bucket
thing.
list.
And yes, it is the bucket itself.
Another gem.
Yeah.
Okay, Clement, beautiful sunbird. Which is this one?
A double-banded sunbird. Amit.
Very pretty. Very
very pretty. And because Africa has got huge plains, and throughout the year, some flower or the other is always blooming there.
Okay.
And also in the equator, the sun is always up there. Hence, because of the blooms, Africa is full of sunbirds, and they are all sunbirds across the world are very, very colorful. And this is also a very tiny sunbird, which you can see like even close to human vicinity. And if you have flowering plants, even in places like Nairobi, you get to, see this. It's a very common sunbird which is found in Africa.
In fact, surprisingly, Clement, where we stay, all the resorts, all the camps in Africa, they have some kind of, the flowering or the
correct.
areas, I think the best time one can spend to shoot this kind of birds is in the resort itself, right?
Exactly. After your safari, like you have another 6 hours to spend. Yeah, like the first day or something, you can just walk around the resort and find out, areas where which are viable to do some bird photography, and you can always try out your luck instead of sleeping or hanging out in the resort. Like,
True.
Yeah, that way you can increase your species count there.
Yeah.
The emerald spotted dove. This is one of the tiniest doves found in Africa, and they are wood doves. Hence, in places like Masai Mara or in Amboseli, or even in far north, like in Samburu and beyond Samburu, the northern deserts, where there are acacia tree woods, you can definitely spot this dove. And it's a bit bold dove. Hence, you can sometimes, when you spot them, you can even walk up to them and take a picture. They are very beautifully colored, and just because of those two spottings on their wings, which are emerald in color, they are called emerald spotted doves.
Acha, that's a very unique feature about this species. You have those spotted this thing, the colorful feathers only in that particular area.
Exactly. Yeah. The southern great flycatcher. Okay. Even though flycatchers are mentally we know that they should only catch flies. This fellow being almost the size of our drongos, which are found in India. Yeah, he even takes larger lizards also as part of its prey. And here one you can see when swallowing an agama lizard. This I photographed close to Mara Serena Resort. Because Mara Serena Resort is situated on a hilltop. The birds which occur in that particular height is entirely different from what you see in Masai Mara.
Okay.
So even slightest variation of 100 or 200 meters in height in Africa will definitely produce a different species of birds or different species of birds.
Okay.
So if you are a keen bird watcher, you should think about those things and also travel.
True. Very true.
Firefinches, here one the red-billed firefinch is very awesomely colored firefinch, and they belong to the family of we have here the munias and the finches. They belong to such families. When you see one, you normally see a group because they travel as groups and they feed also on the ground. And one, if it gets disturbed, will normally perch on a twig which is 2 to 3 feet from the ground, which will give you ample time to shoot an image. And this particular bird was shot inside Kiko Rock Resort in Masai Mara. Yeah, Kiko Rock, if somebody goes to Masai Mara and stays in Kiko Rock for 3 days, if you are a keen birder, you can definitely do at least around 30 species of birds inside the resort during your, lunch break.
That's amazing piece of information.
Yes.
I'll definitely try this.
Yeah, the fisher lovebird. Fisher lovebirds are found on most of the East African countries. Especially you can see their huge numbers in Kenya and Tanzania.
Okay.
They are also group travelers, and as you all know, fisher lovebirds are kept as caged birds in India. In Bangalore, you can get them for around 1,500 rupees a pair. And due to trapping for cage bird industry, their numbers have dwindled in the last 2 decades.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very sad story, but I think a lot of people now they are getting aware. I mean, those what in my childhood when I used to see cages in my society,
Correct.
couple of houses used to have birds and all this thing, but I think that number also is shrinking, maybe because of the awareness and all. But I
No,
think
because of the mobile phone in people's hands these days, they don't watch anything else other than their mobile phones.
Very well said, that.
Yeah, the golden-breasted starlings. Golden-breasted starlings are, birds of dry land. And you will start seeing them in the northern deserts and also in Samburu. There are few incidences where they have been spotted even in Amboseli, but I don't know how far that is true. But Samburu is one such place where a keen birder definitely goes to see this bird, and you will see this bird in Samburu as their flocks are in good numbers. And sometimes they are very bold near waterholes, where you can wait in times between 9:30 and 11 o'clock. During that time, they'll come down to the waterholes to drink and you can get their pictures.
Awesome.
Yeah, the golden beaver. Why I chose this picture was Africa is full of beavers. There are almost close to 100 or more varieties of beaver birds in Africa because of the abundance availability of grass and acacia wood, which are preferred by beavers for making their nests, and also the water holes where these trees grow and which adds as another security point for their nesting. The golden beaver, their numbers, for what reason, nobody knows. Even the ornithologists cannot explain this, even in Kenya and Tanzania. Their numbers have dwindled, and we were very lucky to spot one pair of beavers in the northern deserts, like after Samburu, and it was building a nest, so I was able to take a picture. So just an important, bird for all bird lovers of Africa.
True.
The golden beaver.
I just observe now. I mean, it just started building the nest,
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah, the great white pelicans.
Okay.
One of the largest birds, and for their size, almost from beak to tail, almost close to around 5.5 to 6 feet. Because of their hollow bones, they can fly very beautifully. And during bird migration, they come to Gujarat and Rajasthan, and they even come to Delhi and Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, and places like this. Large birds of prey, very beautiful. This I photographed in Lake Naivasha. Lake Naivasha is one of the most beautiful places where you can get greens and blues on your background like this when you're photographing from these rocking boats there.
Yeah, this is taken from a boat, right?
Yes.
Again, a beautiful documentary shot, Clement.
Yes. We were very, very lucky. The previous night, one group of lions had killed a zebra and they were feeding on that. And in the morning, there was a huge shower. This was almost photographed at around 9 o'clock because it was very cloudy. But the vultures, once the lions left, the vultures landed. And the lappet-faced vulture first landed, and the tawny eagle landed very close to it. And it was a beautiful thing for us to, move our jeep back and shoot a picture so that you get this DOF. So that to show to people that we think the tawny eagle is a very humongous eagle, but in front of a lappet-faced vulture, it's like a tiny passerine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See, tawny itself is such a big, and when you
Exactly.
this is a real a good documentary shot. You can compare the two different species. Clement, this lappet-faced vulture looks like the king vulture what we get over.
Correct. They belong to almost the same family.
Okay.
And the lappet-faced vultures, maybe evolution or whatever it is, as we all know, everything is so beautifully created by God. Lappet-faced vultures, when animals die on their own due to disease or an accident or not killed by a predator, the other vultures cannot open the hide that easily. They
Oh,
always wait for the lappet-faced vulture because it has got a tremendous neck muscle and a huge beak to tear the hide, so
oh,
that they'll start feeding first and the others will follow.
awesome, awesome, awesome.
Yep. Yeah, like I
They kept
mean,
short.
every
Kept
Big
short,
Five
yeah.
photographer also always looks for this due to its multicolored, like I mean, feathers, the lilac-breasted roller, because it has got a pintail also.
Mhm.
A beautiful looking roller, and it is almost found like I mean 12 months of the year throughout Africa. Whichever park you visit, you are definitely going to see one and you are going to photograph one.
Yeah,
As simple as that.
a pretty common bird to locate,
Yes.
right? Yeah. Even very strange. Sometimes the safari drivers, they are always pushing for the big fights and all those stuff, But
Hmm.
some birds, no, they'll stop. Like this one bird, they'll always say,
Correct.
"Oh, come on, everyone shoots this. You also shoot this." And same the case with lappet-faced vulture.
Correct.
Somehow
Correct.
stop the car. Other vultures, they'll not even pay attention. This is just
Correct.
lappet-faced vulture, and
Yep.
somehow they also get fascinated by those beautiful pink and the magenta color.
And
Where,
also, lappet-faced vultures, if you look them from back, they are very beautifully marked in those chocolatey brown colorations, especially when the sunlight falls on them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll, I mean, it'll glitter kind of.
I'll keep this in mind. Yeah.
I would love to shoot a Battlew eagle.
Battleor eagle, huh? Battleor. Yeah, the long-crested eagle. Again, an endemic eagle to Africa. Very, very beautiful looking eagle. And little bit smaller than our Paraya kite or the black kite we have in India. And these feed on insects and lizards. And due to the crest feathers, which are longish, they are called the long-crested eagles.
I think pretty common, right? In Mara regions and all.
Need not be.
Okay.
Again, seasonal variation. You may go, during the month of September, October, and spot 10 of them in your 3-day safari.
Yes.
You may go in the same month the next year and not spot a single one.
Oh, okay.
It's always the seasonal variation of the insects and the reptiles that they eat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, depends upon their occurrences there.
I think they're more common in Samburu, isn't it?
In Nakuru, Mohan.
Okay.
Samburu also you can see them once in a while. In Samburu, the eastern chanting goshawks are more common.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the martial eagle, this is not an adult, it's a sub-adult kind of a bird which has left the nest and started to hunt on its own. Here you can see it like hunting down a striped mongoose. We saw the complete hunt. Even though the Marsh Pride was giving a very good show there, where Marsh Pride of lions had killed 2 zebras during the afternoon hunt. Because of my friends Manjunath and Sandesh, they both were birders. They said we can always watch lions in Africa. So we waited on this particular eagle for 3 hours. We spotted it around 3:30 in the afternoon, and it hunted this particular mongoose by around 5 o'clock in the evening, and we saw the complete hunt where it chased medium-sized striped mongoose and hunted right in front of us, and all of us were in complete gala mood that day.
Beautiful image and beautiful capture, Clement.
Yeah. Here's a martial eagle adult with a completely dressed up guinea fowl. In this particular incident, we were driving from Nairobi to Masai Mara, and we reached Masai Mara at around 11:30 in the morning. And it was raining where, near the main gate where they'll go for the registration and everything. So we were waiting in the Jeep, and after around 100 meters from the security guards office itself, we could see a lot of commotion whereby tawny eagles were diving on the ground for some reason, and we were making our driver to fill everything faster so that we can leave and go to that place. And when we did that, we found the martial eagle was sitting on the guinea fowl. It had just killed the guinea fowl.
Oh.
Yeah. And, from 11:30 to almost 1:30, we were standing there with our Jeep and photographing this one. It was such an opening for Mara trip.
Awesome.
He ate and
Yeah. Do you have? Are you superstitious, Clement?
never,
When you go for your budding trips?
never.
If you see this, my trip would be good for next 3 or 4 days, something like that.
No, never.
Actually, I hear it from a lot of other wildlife photographers.
Mhm.
Someone wants to shoot the wild boars first. Wild boar दिखा तो बहुत कुछ दिख जाएगा and all those stuff. What was that one, sir?
Yeah, I mean, going with Mohan few times.
Serpent eagle.
Sorry?
Serpent eagle.
See. It is
See,
coming
whenever I had been with Mohan, even if a tiger comes in front of him, he used to normally shoot a serpent eagle first. But Amit, I would encourage all the birders, not even birders, even mammal photographers, go with zero expectations always if your trip has to be successful.
Absolutely.
If you go behind a particular species, it is going to be 98% of the time failure.
Yep.
Yeah. Go with completely open mind, like it is the playground of the animals where you are going in. However they perform, you shoot and come.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. Thank you for this. This is a lovely message, guys. Please listen to what Clement is saying. Okay, it's very, very important because we plan some trips with some expectations. We go back, and if you don't get it, we come back because we don't go every day to the park because we all are working. We have to take out the time to plan your trips and all those stuff. But again, as you said, don't go with expectations.
Exactly. No, I have seen in like once you come back from safaris, so many of the wildlife photographers are abusing their drivers.
Okay.
For not showing them something.
Okay.
Yeah, which the other jeeps have seen.
Okay.
So, such kind of things, should be avoided, like for your own good, because the drivers are so used to abuse from everybody. Your blood pressure is going to rise. So, here is a Mayor's parrot. East Africa has got those specialized 3 parrots. The Mayor's parrot and the red-breasted.
Okay.
Yeah, and the brown-headed. Yeah, and all these are slowly coming towards the critically endangered list again because of trapping. Because some of these can be sold in the pet market. Anything like a pair can be sold. More than 1 lakh, or sometimes even fetches 5 to 6 lakhs.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, due to that, when they nest and when they hatch, when the young ones start calling out of the nesting holes. The local trappers cut those branches and bring the babies and sell the babies themselves like these days, instead of catching even the adult. And normally what I have seen, because of speaking to few conservationists is that, every 100 parrots that are collected, hardly to the end customer, only around, 15 to 20 of them reach. 85% of them die in the transit because of pathetic conditions. Yes. Yeah, so due to that, their numbers are just going down, and and I may be one of the few lucky ones to have all the 3 parrots, photographs of all the 3 parrots.
This is where you shot this, Clement?
This I shot it in Mount Kenya Sanctuary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is again altitude specific, this particular species?
Definitely altitude specific, and sometimes when the African neem trees, when they fruit in Olpejeta, these come to eat the neem fruit. That may be one of the few places, but you don't know which is the month that the neem trees produce their fruits, because some neem trees produce during this time of the year, like in April, and next year maybe in June. So it's all sheer luck. But if you are a keen observer of their calls, you can definitely find one in these places.
Super.
The African ostrich, and everybody knows one of the largest land birds which cannot fly. Yeah, and they have these 3 toes in front, and when you go near them, can really rip you apart by their kicks. But
in fact, if you see their toes closely, they look like a dinosaurs.
Yeah, daggers. Yeah, completely prehistoric legs, like the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
and beautiful ones, and sometimes the male also incubates their eggs, and the male can have many females in its harem, and all of them lay at one particular place, like all their eggs, so that the other females can move on, and only the dominating male and the female, they incubate their eggs.
They are, I think, very ferocious in selling their eggs, right? When it comes to predators, comes to the nesting site.
Yeah, definitely. But the big cats, like not even cheetah is not mentioned as part of the big cat, but still even cheetahs eat their eggs and even hunt down ostriches in some areas where gazelle populations are less.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the red-billed hornbill, a species like which is found more in the arid zones. When you go to places like Amboseli and northern deserts and also Samburu and even Savo, you can see them. But depending upon the geographical area, place to places, their markings can be little bit different, and the gray coloration and the white coloration can be a bit different depending upon the geographical areas. Very beautiful, bold bird. Especially someone who loves hornbills can shoot them like into their heart's content in places like Samburu.
Total, how many species of hornbills in the Eastern African area geography?
I think close to around 30 species of hornbills are found.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah, the rufous-tailed weavers.
Okay.
Rufous-tailed weavers, like even if you say like 10 years back, they were not part of the bird list of Kenya. But on the very close to the border between Tanzania and Kenya in Masai Mara, the birds from Tanzania, like a group of birds, especially around 15 of them, have started moving into Masai Mara now. And there are few trees which they are like colony nesting, last 3-4 years they have been colony nesting there. And they have this tendency of, 2-3 of them flying together and like trying to enter one nest at a time. I don't know why they do that. And that is the time, you can stop your jeep there and you can, guess like which is the focal point that you have to put your lenses to manual focus mode. And you can just keep clicking and come to the resort and then see which is focused and which is not focused. And you'll definitely going to get some pictures where they are they are in flight. So this was one such experiment and got their pictures like that.
No, Clement, I was in fact about to ask you this question. Clement, how both the birds are in so
Oh, exactly. That is because like you observe that 2-3 of them getting into the same nest.
Sure.
Clement, can I ask you?
Yeah, man.
What is the shutter speed you actually maintain?
Man, what I found out in these many years is if it is not below 2000 shutter speed, you normally don't get good images of birds in flight at all.
Okay.
Yeah, unless like you are shooting with flashes of hummingbirds or something at a very close quarters, or from a height like you are shooting birds with flash.
So, Clement, so far in today's session, I've got 2 good inputs: F8, the magical number, and anything which is more than 1/2000, right?
Yes.
Great, thank you so much. And yes, also, the good camera ISO 800 you can use as a native ISO.
Correct. Don't go below that at all.
Yeah, and thanks for sharing with all the viewers, Clement. It is so important, because all this, it is not 1 or 2 day shoot. It's a years, 30 years of shooting experience and what Clement has got in his bag. So thanks, Clement, for sharing this amazing.
Anytime, pleasure, guys. The secretary birds are like endemic to the continent of Africa, and it is difficult to put them whether they are bustards or raptors.
Okay.
So it's combination of both.
Okay.
And they are known for their very powerful legs, where they kick the prey to death. They can kill even sometimes black mambas and the African cobras, which come in various forms. The Egyptian spitting cobras and the wrinkles and all those. They can easily prey on them, and reptiles, especially snakes, make almost 75% of their diet. And when the snake populations reduce, they take on to eating insects, and they can even take lizards and the grassland. Small mammals like mice and voles and things like that. Okay. Very beautiful looking species, and due to their feathers on their head, back of their head, which resemble the secretaries who used to wear, those artificial wigs in UK. They are called as secretary birds.
Clement, what is the distribution area of secretary birds?
They are found all over Africa. All kinds of habitats, yeah. Sometimes you can see them in the desert areas, Sometimes you even see them on top of Mount Kenya.
Oh,
In
okay.
Masai Mara, they are very common, as you guys know.
Yes.
And Amboseli and Samburu, they are walking everywhere. So,
Oh, super.
yeah, as their name says, superb starlings. They are very superbly colored, and this particular picture used to fascinate me a lot because you can almost see, three on either side and one referee watching them like debate.
It reminds me of Panchayat.
Yeah. Maybe they may be telling, the secretary may be telling, Africa wants to know. So, yeah, the Veroxis eagle owl.
Wow.
And eagle owls, as all of us know, are very large species of owls. And Veroxis eagle owls are one of the largest, maybe the third largest eagle owl in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, compared to the large eagle species like the snowy owl and the great gray owl, even the Veroxis eagle owl is quite a large species, stands like more than 2 feet in height.
Okay.
Yeah, and they prey on small gazelles and guinea fowls. Yeah,
Very, very, very common sighting.
There are a few places in Mara and also in Amboseli and in Samburu and the northern deserts. There are few places where they occur. But in Samburu, very close to the water's edge, where normally people go to see the lions, and where the river crossing happens, even giraffes in a particular area in that Iwaso near a river, where the giraffes cross from the east to the west. In those areas, there are some dry wood. In those areas are also Veroxis eagle owls are found. But this particular individual, I photographed it near National Bush Camp in Masai Mara.
Okay. Clement, one small question. If someone wants to plan his birding trip in Africa, which month do you suggest? Because he can't go every time, every season, or he can't try different season, but he's just planning a one trip. Which particular month will you recommend?
What happens now, Amit? Africa being on equator, especially this East Africa where maximum safaris happen.
Right.
Yeah. The period between October end and December, you get to see a lot more birds compared to the other periods.
Oh.
During the dry period.
Okay.
Because the short rainy seasons are going on during that particular period, and the long rains are also gone, and there is enough of greenery, but the grass also is very short because of the mammal migration that happens there.
Right.
The wildebeest and the zebras and the gazelles have taken care of the grass. Spotting birds become easier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any small bush, is visible from far, and most of the small bushes are used by birds as hunting posts.
Right. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for this input.
Yes, this is what I was telling you about lappet-faced vulture. Here is a pair that is sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, now their backs are also very, very beautiful.
Yeah, now I can also the back.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
That beautiful. Brown, chocolate brown coloration.
Yes.
Again, it all depends upon light. You should wait for that early morning, between 7 o'clock and 8:30 light, or evening beyond 4 o'clock light.
So Clement, as a bird photographer, you would be avoiding absolutely that time between morning 10 to evening 3 o'clock, right?
Yes,
or
yes.
You still get something during that phase, that period.
Sometimes depends. Amit, especially birds which are dry period based birds, especially like the bustards. Their sighting will happen only when the sun comes up a bit more.
Okay.
And also goshawks. Both the eastern chanting and also the western chanting goshawks, or the pale chanting goshawk, they'll normally be available beyond 9 o'clock in the mornings.
Okay.
So this light part, for all the other birds, the photographers can have a choice. But some of the species, it is, you are at their mercy. Whenever you see one, you photograph one. You forget about light, everything during that time of the day.
True. Very true.
And you definitely pray for some cloud cover.
Absolutely.
The hooded vultures. Normally, hooded vultures are the last ones to visit the carcass. And because of their longish and pointed beaks, they can tear meat from the bones, which are left over by the other vultures. And wooded vultures are also the tiny ones of the African vultures, and they look very, very beautiful. They look like tinier versions of the lapis lazuli vulture, except for their beaks, which are longish.
Awesome. Beautiful. I'm seeing them for the first time. And what is the location?
Masai Mara, you can definitely see one, Amit.
I
normally tell people that, I go to Masai Mara for bird watching, and whenever birds are not there, I photograph mammals.
Have you gone to Africa, Clement?
What, Memo?
How many times have you gone to Africa?
6 times more now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all the trips for birding, and sometimes I shoot mammals.
Yes. Yeah, another specialized bird of the desert.
Yes.
Yeah, the vulturine guinea fowl, beautiful colorations. Again, a species like in between a vulture and a guinea fowl and a bustard, all combinations into one. And they are very, very hardy birds. Sometimes they can go on for months, like not drinking a drop of water and still survive, just like by eating green shoots and the small berries and also the seeds that are available in their like habitat. And I had been to Samburu like one particular time where there was a drought that was going on for almost 36 months. Yeah, in our entire trip we didn't even see a single green blade of grass anywhere, and every animal there had started to die, but these were flourishing very well, and they had even changed their habit of eating, no? Whereby these vulturine guinea fowls are never known to be climbing trees. They even started climbing trees, eat the shoots of the acacia wood, as you see them here. This is a very rare picture of a vulturine guinea fowl perched on anything.
Amazing.
Yeah, like some of the safari drivers who have been doing safari mostly in Masai Mara, but due to the demands by their customers who take them to Samburu, some of them in the last 10 years have never seen them perched like this. Even though they had been so many times to Samburu, like one such thing was this very rare behavior of them climbing trees. Yeah. Because their legs are not for climbing trees.
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, northern part of Africa, right?
Correct.
Northern
part of East Africa.
East Africa, yeah.
Yeah. Woodland kingfisher. As Africa has got lots of kingfisher species, woodland kingfisher also is one of the most beautiful looking ones, where the lower mandible of the bill is black and the upper mandible is red. And woodland kingfishers, even though you can come across one in Masai Mara or in Naivasha kind of areas, but very, very difficult to get close to them as they are very shy. Out of many of my trips in trying to photograph them, only once in Masai Mara, one evening, one bird sat like this, like almost giving us full frame shots. And it called for some celebration in the evenings.
In fact, Clement, I recollect one very strange behavior. I was in Kikarock, and on that lawn, next to that hippo pool area, there's a lawn there.
Correct.
Woodland kingfisher was sitting on the ground by spreading his wings.
Okay.
So for a fraction, I just called the guard and say, "Hey, what's wrong with that bird? Is it dead or what?" Then he said, "No, it's alive, and it'll fly for some time. If I go close, it'll fly." And when we actually walked, it actually flew off. I was actually scared. What is this behavior of those birds when they sit on the ground with the spread wings?
See, sometimes, just to draw the vitamin D, from the sun, they can do. But many birds, what they do, once they are affected with mites, mites get into their wings and they climb onto their body. The only way for them to get them out is sitting by an anthill and disturbing the ants, so that the red ants will come out, or any ant, particular species of ant that is found there, they'll come out and climb onto them and eat these small mites. So it's a win-win situation for both of them. Amazing. So many birds do this.
Amazing.
Yeah. So one such behavior you would have watched, I think.
And what is behavior? Does it have any particular name?
No. I mean, as far as I know, maybe some can keep. We see when the birds of prey open their wings to protect their prey during the hunt, they call that as mantling, no?
Mantling,
Like
yeah.
that somebody should, I mean,
I just overheard when I was discussing with Adesh. He said anting was a typical.
maybe, yeah, because they go to anthill, no?
Yeah. Okay, that's amazing piece of information. Thanks, Clement.
Mhm.
With this, we'll come to an end.
So, Clement,
Yeah, man.
can you please tell me a couple of your dream places that you want to visit?
Definitely it will be places like Ecuador and Costa Rica, man. And also, I would love to, at least once in my lifetime, see the polar bear in Svalbard or in Alaska, or places like this.
I thought you
Yeah.
were going to say Japan.
Hokkaido.
Yeah.
Oh, for the eagles. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very costly place, and also you need many months to book that place. I think I don't like to spend so much of time and energy and all.
Okay.
But like a lot of people have gone to Costa Rica and Ecuador, like from Bangalore, and also to Svalbard. So, like being the largest land mammal, I want to at least see it once.
Oh,
Yeah,
you.
and definitely Mohan's pictures.
So, Paleva, thank you
Yep.
so much for being with us. It was so much of knowledge, and
Yep.
thanks for sharing your techniques and the way you shoot.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Amit.
Yeah. So, guys, again, thanks, Clement, for this lovely session. A few
Yep.
things. What is a learning for me is some few technical specs like what Clement shoots with. F8. Uh, Go with the higher ISO numbers. Okay. Larger focal length. And okay, he is a champion on the handheld stuff. But then I would again still strongly recommend, if you can carry a support system, always carry a support system like a tripods or a monopods, because when you have to wait a longer period of time, it's always you can keep your camera, that heavy camera, on something, and you can wait for your subjects. Okay. So guys, I know I'm in a couple of interviews, and these are pretty long interviews, but you have to bear with me, because then I don't want to just finish someone's life story or someone's story in that short span on YouTube. So thanks for watching this, and thanks for watching till the end. Uh, I'm going to share the Instagram and the Facebook handles of Mr. Clement Francis in the description down below. Please follow him on Insta, and he keeps on uploading lot of these bird images. And believe me, if I have got any query, or if I shoot a bird or spot a bird, this is one book I refer to. That book name is called Clement Francis. I always send my images to Clement, especially from Africa, and he always identifies for me. So thank you, Clement, for all that help, and wish you all the very best for all your future trips also. I was very surprised not to hear that in Papua New Guinea, So it is not in the bucket list.
I mean, I feel, Amit, at least a month or two, I mean, required to do any justice to birds of Papua New Guinea.
Yes.
And I don't think, like, in my lifetime, I'll be able to afford such, I mean, trips.
No,
So,
Clement, I wish that day will come when I can get that call. Amit, I'm going to Papua New Guinea. Okay, so wish you
yeah.
all the best, and
Yes.
for that, and sure, I'm sure you will definitely do that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mohan and Amit, for this opportunity. And it was such a pleasure to speak to you guys. And, the wildlife community, we hardly get chances to speak about our madness. And I think I made a better, I mean, use of this time.
Yeah, Clement, any message to all the viewers?
Yeah, I mean, especially guys, I mean, if you're a mammal photographer or a guy, I mean, who likes the mammals, I'll hardly have any advice for you all, but keep going to the same places again and again, so that the same habitat will produce much better results compared to, I mean, visiting all kinds of places, because your knowledge concerning one particular habitat will always give you the best pictures. That's what I have found out in my lifetime. Thanks a lot.
So guys, if you like this interview, this content, please give us feedback, and in the comments below, you can discuss, you can give your feedback, or you can give your suggestions. Your suggestions are welcome. And if you want to share any inputs or any particular topic we should cover more and more, so your comments are much appreciated. So please don't forget to share, this video, please subscribe to our channel, and your comments are very, very valuable. So Clement, to all your fans, can you ask to share and subscribe?
Yes, guys. So much of effort goes on in making these videos, and I would definitely encourage all of you to tell your friends, your family members, because these contents can, I mean, reach the common man also, because these tell a story regarding the wildlife which we are losing at a very, very faster rate these days compared to what they used to be when we were young. So we should ensure that all these wildlife places and also a hobby that will make us to keep going to these wildlife places remains, so that our children's children also have something left on this planet Earth, which we call as home for both the mammals, the birds and humans. Let us all coexist. இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப பிடிச்சிருந்தா அந்த லைக் பட்டனை பிரஸ் பண்ணுங்க and ஷேரும் பண்ணுங்க உங்க ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸுங்க கூட.
Thank you so much, Clement, and thank you, Amit, and thank you, Ravin.